Defining your identity might be the most important thing you ever do. Keep watching. Hey there, this is Life Mastery Gym, and I'm Damon, and I teach people just like you cutting-edge NLP processes and techniques so that you can master your life and take charge of your destiny. So if that sounds good, make sure you click the subscribe button right here so that you can get these videos on a regular basis. Knowing who you are and knowing how you create your identity is the key to knowing how to create the reality and the life you want to live. By the end of this video, you're going to understand how you create your sense of self so much better. And again, this is the key to living the life that you want to live. It's also the key to having the confidence that you want to have, the self-esteem that you want to have. It all starts with who you believe yourself to be. And what I use this for is pretty much all of my coaching. All of my coaching and the majority of what I teach and the work that I do on myself is all related to identity, because it is the biggest generalization you make and everything relates to it. So if you want lasting change in your life, it needs to be a part of who you are, who you believe yourself to be. Before I go into this any further, I'm curious about how you define identity. Now, I'm not looking for a textbook definition. I'm looking for what is your particular way of defining it. How do you define your sense of self? Let me know in the comments below and I will respond to you. So who are you? How do you know you are you? How do you know you are consistently the same person who wakes up every morning and does whatever it is that you do? Where does that sense, that consistent sense of self come from? And what defines you? Now, I used to delve deep into philosophy to try to answer these questions, and I did find some answers, but none of them really gave me what I wanted. And what I wanted something to apply in my life that could change it, transform it, so that I found it easier to accomplish what I wanted to accomplish, to succeed, to become the person I want to be. And unfortunately, the philosophy that I studied didn't give me any of that. And it wasn't until I started learning NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, and more specifically, the self-concept model created by Steve Andreas, that gave me exactly what I was looking for. So I ask you the question, what defines you? Now, a lot of people would say, well, maybe it's how I feel about myself. How I feel about myself. Does that define you? I would say no, it doesn't. That's kind of the after effect. How I feel about myself, well, again, what is the self? How do I feel about this thing doesn't define it. But what it does do is it defines your self-esteem. So I'll put that here. So how you feel about yourself is what we call self-esteem. But again, we're pointing at a self. This is the feeling about self. So what is this thing? What defines identity? Now, a person might say, well, my experiences define who I am. And now we're on to something, but not quite. I mean, if you think about it, how many experiences have you had? Well, endless experiences, right? And so many of them you've forgotten, and they don't really matter anymore. They don't really say a whole lot about who you are, and you don't even have a sense of it reflecting on who you are. We've had many experiences. I can think of meaningless experiences I had as a child, walking to the store or petting a dog or something like that. And none of these things define who I am. So you can probably think about endless experiences that really say nothing about who you are in your own interpretation and in the interpretation of anyone else. So I would say certain experiences do define you, define who you believe yourself to be, but not all experiences. But it is enough to write down. I'd say experience is a starting point. So we start having experiences and then they lead to something in between here, between experience and identity. Now, somebody might say, well, the qualities of me is who I believe myself to be. And I would say yes to that. So not just a few qualities, I would say all of the things that you believe about yourself, or what we could call qualities or generalizations, but we'll call them qualities, which are generalizations. So yes, you have experiences, but not all experiences define who you are. You have a feeling about yourself, your self-esteem, but that doesn't necessarily define who you are. Your qualities, the things that you believe about yourself, which are probably many, many, many beliefs you have about yourself. So many, many qualities that you have. You're not thinking about them all at the same time. You think about them from time to time, like one at a time, and probably depending on what context you're in, or even who you're interacting with. And so you have all of these qualities. And if we put all these qualities all together and create one big generalization based on all of these qualities, then yes, you get your identity. So how are we going to define that? Do you need to sit down and write down all of your qualities? That would take a long time. And you probably wouldn't be able to complete the list, because there's probably a lot of unconscious qualities, meaning qualities that you have that you're not even conscious of. Okay, so it's not important, I believe, in trying to define your identity by going through all of the qualities. I think it's important to understand this, and that this defines your identity. And from here, there's so much that you can do. For example, what are the qualities that you value that you may or may not have, or may or not believe you have in your identity? And how would that change your life? How would it change who you are if you believed you did have them? So for example, and I talk a lot about values. I have videos out there on values. If you've been a part of any of my programs, you know that I talk a lot about values and how important values are. What do you value? What qualities do you value? Now, you might need to get contextual about this, meaning you might want to make it easier, to make it less general, less vague. Define a context. Okay, my work, my relationship, my social life. Those are three major life contexts, easy to grab onto. Just about everybody has all of these. And then I can ask myself, okay, what do I value in these contexts? Let's say your professional career. Well, I could value success. I could value accomplishment. I could value I could even value happiness in my work, or passion in my work. And so if I can write out those values, then I can ask myself, do I possess those qualities? Now, what happens when you believe you possess the qualities that you value? Yep, you get a lot of this. You get a lot of self-esteem. You have a lot of confidence, okay? But what if you believe you don't possess the quality of what you value? You guessed it. This goes down. Your self-esteem goes down. You don't feel as confident. Now, here's the interesting thing. I've coached a lot of people. And of course, I've just met a lot of people. The one thing that I see most common is people who are actually highly competent. Most of the people I coach are highly competent people. Most of the people I interact with are highly competent people. But almost all of them have low self-esteem and low confidence. Now, some of you are saying, no, I don't have low self-esteem. I don't have that problem. That's like junior high stuff. No, most people suffer from low self-esteem. Most people have feelings of low self-worth. Most people have feelings of not being good enough, at least in some area of their life. And it does not help you to feel that way. Some people think, well, that's being humble. And no, that's a different thing. Humble is a different thing. Humble is, I know what I'm good at. I know I'm good at it. I don't need to brag about it, because I know that I'm good at it. But I don't, and it's certainly not I don't feel good enough. That's not humility. That doesn't help you. But trying to pretend like you don't feel that way is not going to help you either. So what you can do is you can identify what you value in certain situations, certain major life contexts, and then ask yourself, be honest with yourself, do I possess those values as qualities of who I am? And if you don't, now you know you've got some work to do. And I can help you with that. By the way, we have a wonderful group of people who are transforming at the identity level. And if you're interested in that, You can just shoot me an email and I'll give you more information if you want to join that group. Back to this. When you start living the values as qualities of who you are, and you start looking at all the areas of your life, or what's missing, what do I value that I don't have as a quality of who I am, and then you start learning what that is, and you get really honest with yourself, and you see where those gaps are, and then you start transforming it. You start transforming into that person who has those qualities so that you can live those values in every major context of your life. Try doing that for a few months or a year. And how do you think you would change? How do you think you would transform? Extraordinarily well is what I would say. And your life would have more meaning, more purpose, more satisfaction, and more fulfillment. And this is an ongoing thing because life is not static. So this is an ongoing thing. The changes that you make normally do last because the identity, the self-concept is such a huge generalization. It transcends space and time. But as you live and as you grow and as your potential increases because you're fulfilling that potential, there will be more work to be done. There will be more to learn about yourself. There will be more to improve about yourself. And it's not difficult at that point. It's more about tune-up and maintenance, but it's very, very important that you do it and becoming all who you can be. Now you know how to define your identity, but what you don't know are the elements of a healthy self-concept, a healthy identity. So I created a free checklist. It's just a PDF checklist that gives you all of the elements of a healthy identity, a healthy self-concept. And I give you information about it too. How does it really fit? How does it work into your life? And if you'd like to get your hands on that free PDF, there is a link in the description right here down below, or you can see it pinned to the top of the comments right here below as well. And you just click that link and you get immediate access. If you like this video, make sure you click the thumbs up like button. And while you're there, make sure you hit the subscribe button if you haven't already subscribed, and click that bell so that you'll be notified when new videos come out. And while you're down there, get your hands on that free PDF. Leave me a comment below. I will respond to you. And if you know of a friend or a family member who you think would enjoy this video, make sure you share it with them. Take care.